All right, guys, we're doing a special edition of Hashing Out with the Law. I'm here with Nicole Miller. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Nicole is a law student. She's about to start at the University of Washington in St. Louis.
Yeah,
And she wants to be a prosecutor.
I do.
So I had her come on the show so I can change her mind about being a prosecutor. And Nicole also has her own YouTube channel.
Yes.
And what is your YouTube channel called?
My YouTube channel is Life as a Law Student, no spaces.
And why did you decide to start a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so I started my YouTube channel at the very end of February.
Okay.
And I really just did it with the motivation of being somebody who grew up with no lawyers in my family, no close family friends who were attorneys, but being very passionate about the law and feeling like I had to figure everything out by myself with Google as my backup.
Right.
And so I thought that making a YouTube channel kind of detailing that process of law school admissions, taking the LSAT, eventually being in law school would potentially be helpful to people like me who are also really passionate about it, but just are turning every which way, trying to figure out how to actually go about becoming an attorney.
That's actually a great idea. So when I was a kid, I decided to become an attorney, and I'm from a family of immigrants. So I wasn't born here. My parents obviously weren't born here. There's nobody in my family that's an attorney before me, and I had no clue what to do or how to start. I didn't even know what the LSAT was. So I had to figure it out on my own as well, but we didn't have YouTube back then. We didn't have, we had the internet, but it wasn't as easily available. So
Right.
It's a great idea you have. So tell me, what have you experienced with starting this YouTube channel that's made you look at it differently? Look at being a law student and things like that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I've done my best to publish a video every week, and I've done a couple like extra things in there too. But my original intention was just to like talk about stuff as I went and talk about, okay, well, I took the LSAT recently, so I'll talk about the LSAT. Or this person emailed me and wanted to do a collaboration, so I guess I'll do that now. And the longer I've done it, or a couple weeks in, I started realizing, oh, people are hungry for like content about my past experiences. They want to know things that I haven't actually experienced yet, and they don't know how to find it, but they know that I'm somebody who's already kind of used to like figuring out information that I don't know yet. And so just this week, actually, I filmed a Q&A video, and people ask me questions. I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. So one of the questions they asked me was, how should an international law student, or how should an international student prepare to go to law school in the States? I'm like, I don't know, but like I'll do some research, I'll find some links for you, and then I'll let you know.
That's your next topic. You can find an international law student.
Right.
So you asked me this question. By the way, I was a guest on her show as well. So
you did a great job.
You guys need to check that out. I'm going to ask you the same question you asked me.
Okay.
Why did you decide that you want to be a lawyer?
Yeah. So I just grew up with an insane passion and innate desire for justice at any level. So when I was 3, it was, well, that's not fair that she got more cookies than I did. But as I grew older, it became, oh, like I'm watching this, kids TV show, and they're like finding the clues and figuring out what really happened because this person was like falsely accused of lying or something. And then going into middle school and high school, I got involved with mock trial. And I've always been slightly argumentative, as my parents will be happy to testify. But it was like a really positive channel for that competitive and argumentative nature to work for a hypothetical good. And so sophomore year of high school, even though I'd always been interested in the law and in justice, sophomore year of high school was when I was like, oh, criminal prosecution specifically is something that gets me really excited. It definitely ties in with what I believe about justice and the knowledge of the American legal system that I so far have and hopefully will continue to build on. But that has only gotten stronger as I finished high school, then went to college, finished college. Every time I learned more about the legal system or what it is to be an attorney or what we can be doing as people in and outside of the law, of the legal field to be helping people who are in prison to come back into society in a positive way. That's something I'm also passionate about. And so I'm not sure how all this will work together, but my ideal world 10 years down the line is to be a criminal prosecutor as my job, but to volunteer with reentry organizations and fight for prison reform.
That's sort of like an oxymoron, though, isn't it? It's redundant. You're gonna put them away, and then you're gonna help them come out.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. So I believe, and maybe you do too, I believe that there should be consequences for bad actions, for causing harm to society or innocent people. I think that you should have to go to prison and spend your time there. But unfortunately, I think our prison system does a really bad job of, bringing people back into society in a positive way. I think it just puts them on a timeout and doesn't actually initiate any kind of mindset or worldview change or get people the help that they often need. I've heard a lot of stories visiting prisons or talking to people who work with reentry organizations or prison ministry where they just say, I didn't feel like I had any other choice. I grew up in this area, or I grew up without a parent figure, and crime was the only way I had to survive, maybe mentally or physically. And so then when they come out of prison, not only are they in that exact same situation, but now it's worse because now there's no way for them to get a job because they have this on their record. And all of the family or friends that maybe they had before often have abandoned them, have moved on with their own lives. So they're in a worse position than they were before to make a positive impact on society.
So you believe in prison reform?
I do.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You believe in prison reform, and you said it. Some of these people felt they don't have a choice.
Right.
They don't know any better, for lack of better terms, or they don't have any support.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not there yet. You're the prosecutor.
Right.
The file comes on your desk.
Yeah.
Their attorney comes up to you and tells you the same thing. Look, my client didn't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
Will that make you look at the case differently?
I guess it depends on what you mean by differently. Because in my mind, I'm not there yet, so this is all hypothetical speculation, but in my mind, what I'd hope to think is that when the file comes to my desk before anyone tells me anything about that person, I hope I'm approaching that case not only with a factual understanding of here's what happened or here's what appears to have happened and knowing what my job is in that system, but to also be able to see all the people involved, including victims, including perpetrators, including lay witnesses, from an empathetic perspective, and knowing that all of those are humans. As a Christian, I believe that all people are made with innate dignity and bearing the image of God. And just because you did a bad thing, that doesn't mean that your life has to be defined by that.
Right.
But personally, I do think that means that there do need to be consequences.
I'm going to be interested in when you go through your journey and when you become a prosecutor, how your mindset is going to change or not.
Sure.
So jokingly, I say you want to be one of the bad guys, you want to be a prosecutor, but there is actually great prosecutors.
Mm-hmm.
There's some prosecutors that I consider my friends, and I consider them great people. But what makes them great prosecutors is they're not just there to put people in jail, but they look at every case from looking for the right word, but they look at it as a person, not just a prosecutor.
For sure.
But there is other prosecutors that they just say, oh, this person got arrested, they did something wrong, they have to go to jail, and they have to go to jail for the maximum period. So if you're going to be that prosecutor, then we're going to have problems.
We're going to not be friends.
So let me ask you this. The YouTube channel that you started.
Yeah.
You're going to start law school soon.
Yep, in August.
And law school, I've been through it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've read about it or heard about it, but you won't know what it's like until you experience it.
For sure.
Are you going to continue doing your YouTube channel?
That's the plan. And just like you said, who knows when we get there, everything could fly out the window like that. But my intention is very much to have started it now as a pre-law student, to talk about what college was like, knowing I was going to go to law school, to talk about my summer internships, to talk about taking LSAT, so that when I go to law school, people are able to see from point A to point B, law school, to hopefully point C, becoming an attorney, provided that I can manage my time well. My intention is absolutely to be able to take people through my entire journey.
Okay, that would be interesting. And what tips do you have for people who want to go to law school but they don't know what to do? Oh, that reminds me. After you answer that question, I have another question I want to ask you. But what tips do you have for those people?
For people who don't know what kind of law they want to do?
Well, people who want to go to law school but they don't know the process. Now,
okay.
understanding you're still in the very beginning
Right.
of this process, but you're also ahead of a lot of people.
Right.
You've taken the LSAT, you've gotten accepted to law school,
Mm-hmm.
you got a scholarship.
I did.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
So there's people that are there and say, I want to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know how.
Right.
What tips do you have for them?
First of all, welcome to the club. I really did have to figure it all out by myself. And essentially, the process, it is complicated, but it is understandable as well, especially if you're somebody who cares about being a lawyer and feels like they're good at critical thinking. You're going to be able to figure it out. But the basic steps are, first, like, do well in college, make an effort in your classes, but also in networking. And if you can find a legal internship, I found that extremely enlightening. And for me, interning with the district attorney's office was a very confirming experience. I loved going. I was like having the time of my life. So if that's something that you think you want to do, definitely go. And maybe day one, you're like, forget it. Get me out of here. I don't want to do law at all. Or maybe I want to do a different area. And I think, as many people have told me, like, so many people are going to change their minds, and that's totally fine. Right. And natural. But definitely get an internship, any experience or networking that you can. Beyond that, spend time on your law school application. I found it was very different than applying to undergrad colleges, because my undergrad colleges, like, I whipped those applications out in an hour. I was just like, send my transcript, send my like obligatory paragraph of here's what I want to go to, fill in the blank. But for law school, I spent weeks working on my personal statement, and I sent it to 40 people that I know to like edit and tell me how to revise it. The recommendation letters, I didn't just, pick 3 people off the top of my head. I really considered who could say different things about me from work life, from school life, from personal life, to give admissions committee an entire perspective. And then once I sent in my application, I still wasn't done. I followed up with the admissions teams at the schools I was very interested in. When they responded to me, I was making sure to be quick and to be grateful for the time that they invested in me as a person, not just an applicant. I had the opportunity at Washington University, where I'm applying, to talk with the dean of the law school for about 20 minutes and just have like a nice conversation. And she was very pleasant to talk to, really enjoyed it. But that conversation, I can't say it was the cause of this, but after that conversation, they increased my scholarship from 3/4 tuition to a full ride.
Nice.
So I really believe that, like, personal relationships, not just built to get stuff, but built because you want to understand the school that you're applying to. You want to know the environment that you're going to be putting yourself in, and you want them to know you and what you're bringing independently and uniquely to the table. And so I found that extra email or that extra phone call, like, really did a ton for me on paper, but it also is making me so confident about where I'm going and knowing that I already have a team of people who know me, and I'm not just, a name on a list.
Good. And you talk about all of this on your YouTube channel, correct?
I do, yeah.
What was your YouTube channel again for the listeners?
Life as a Law Student.
Life as a Law Student.
Yep.
It's a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
I like your story, and I think your story should be an inspiration to all others who want to go to law school, but they feel they can't or they don't know how to start.
You can do it.
Yes, you can do it. You can do it.
it.
And I really hope that after you complete the process and you become a lawyer and become a prosecutor, that you do stick to what you said you want to be. I think if you do that, you'll be successful. And I won't pretend I don't know you. And I find it fascinating that I've been doing this for a while, but I find it fascinating that younger people such as yourself, not that I'm old, younger people such as yourself are still very adamant and very excited to go into the field, especially in criminal defense or criminal in general. So Life as a Law Student is the YouTube channel.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to be looking for it because I'm going to be on one of the episodes. And it was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
I will be following your journey throughout the years, and I wish you luck.
Thank you. Hopefully, I can come back on podcast in 3 years from now.
Yes,
we'll reconnect.
We'll have a semesterly update.
Oh, okay, great. Sounds good.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.